Well, thanks for taking some time out of your busy schedule, Mrs. GT, for hanging out with us on our first ever video podcast here at Gideonstactical, where we're just going to dive into life. What does life look like? We got a lot of questions to answer that you guys have sent in, so thank you so much for your comments. Really appreciate that. And did you think, how many years has it been since you first moved to Denver? Is it like 18 years?
It's 16.
16 years. Okay,
Yeah.
I thought it was like closer to 18 for some reason. But did you think you'd be on a video podcast married to a guy doing videos on YouTube?
Never crossed my mind.
So what originally brought you out here? You had never been to Denver, if I remember correctly, and you'd grown up in Western Pennsylvania near Pittsburgh. And then what brought you to Denver? Why did you do that?
I guess it was my need to get a job.
Okay.
So I was applying to jobs about a year out of college, and I had been working in Pittsburgh, but I wasn't making enough money to live on my own, and that was my main goal. So I was applying to jobs out there, but I wasn't getting any. And then I had applied apparently to a job in Colorado, and
Apparently,
I don't even remember applying.
Wow,
to it,
I did not even know that.
I'm sure I did, but and I eventually flew out for an interview, and I just felt like this is gonna be it. And then they offered me a job.
Away from your family, your friends, your sisters, and just completely out here all alone. Moved to Denver to work for a space company.
Pretty much.
Wow, that's awesome. What would you say
Yeah.
to somebody who is kind of on the fence about maybe they're really comfortable in their environment? You know, maybe they've grown up and they have friends and family around, and they have all that stuff, but there's this opportunity. What would you say to somebody like that who's wrestling with that? What made you go, I'm willing to leave everything I know to move halfway across the country?
I mean, I think coming from a small town, and I went to college there, I knew a lot of people there. I think I just had this sense in me that I needed to experience something different, see different parts of the country, and kind of, go out on my own. So I just had that idea already, I think, probably from God, that's what I wanted. And I think I have sort of an adventurous spirit too, that I like change and I like to try new things. So it all lined up, and I was just like, yes, this is a great opportunity. I was gonna be paid enough that I could live on my own, and the rent, I was telling a friend or someone that my first apartment was 920 square feet, and it was $700 a month.
What, was that cheap to you, or?
I mean, it was affordable for the job that I had. I mean, it wasn't like I was raking in the dough, but I had enough money to do it. I was excited. I had this huge apartment all to myself.
Nice.
And it was awesome.
And then fast forward 15 years, married, two boys. So you were working, kind of living the female feminist, if you will, dream of you leave your comfort zone, you're out on your own, you're your independent woman, you got a really good job at a space company, and now you're a stay-at-home mom, homeschooling two boys. What kind of brought that shift on, and that willingness to kind of walk away from a successful career that you were growing in, doing well in? What made you want to shift and be a stay-at-home mom and homeschool two boys?
Well, it wasn't too long into my career that I just realized this isn't the life that I want. It was, even though it was a great company to work for, the people were awesome, and I had friends, and I just felt like as you get, you move up, you're just taking more and more responsibility, more hours, and I could tell pretty early, a few years into it, that wasn't what I wanted to do my whole life. So I was once we got married and started talking about having kids, I knew that I wanted to change. And I didn't even know at that point I would be a stay-at-home mom or, you know, a homeschooling mom. But I just knew that in that moment I wanted something different. And then as time went on, just, you know, my desires changed and we got to this point.
Wow, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Well, I got to say that I scored and, you know, got the jackpot by, you know, landing you and your willingness to say yes to me over what 12 years now. Is it going to be 13 this year? 13 years, and it's been an awesome ride. So,
Yes.
And I love that adventurous aspect of you. And I wanted to ask you this question because we had lots of people, you know, dropping in comments, and you guys did a great job. And we both looked over the questions, but I don't know what she picked. She doesn't know what I picked, and just really having kind of a fun experience with this whole thing, and seeing where it goes. And hopefully, once a month, we're going to do a podcast like this with different guests, and you know, sometimes you'll be on, sometimes there'll be other people. Working on getting our 2 boys to be guests on one of these podcasts coming up. That's going to be a wild one. So that's just kind of what you guys are seeing and experiencing. If you're joining us for the first time here at Gideonstactical and you're like, what the heck is this? Normally it's gear reviews. So, but I wanted to ask you, what was your, or what's on your bucket list right now? Like 2 things in your life, just fire them off super fast. This was asked by the Grumpy Hermit. He was like, quick, like bucket list. What are 2 things that you want to do before you go to heaven?
I love that question because I dream about it, but I want to spend some time in France. I don't know what it is about it. I'm just drawn to the culture, and I'm not talking about Paris, although I'd like to spend some time there, but like southern France, the coast, I don't know.
You said you want to do like a bicycle tour or something where you go to like to hostels and stay on a bike or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be pretty sweet. Okay, so that's one. What's one more? Okay, what do you think? I'm gonna give one.
Yeah.
Iceland is a place that I want to go. I don't know why. I've just always really been drawn to it. The more the land than anything else. Just like how crazy that island is. Leave a comment below if you have been there. What's been your experience? But Iceland would definitely be one place on my bucket list I want to go to.
I would say, can I make it more like a goal?
Whatever.
Just like to have a little tiny house or some type of house close or on a beach.
That you own or that you rent or that you manage or what?
I'd say own.
That you own and you're not sharing with people.
Well, maybe that, but
Okay, but on the coast somewhere, on a beach.
When I want to go to
In France?
I can go to it. No, it doesn't have to be France.
Is there a
It could
coast that
be-
you would prefer? We've been to both.
Right. I would say probably somewhere in North Carolina or maybe like the Gulf Shores.
Nice.
Because we have been there, but
That's cool. I would say one other thing for me would be I want to do like a multi-day backpacking trip not in America. That's definitely like a goal of mine. Like South America, Central America would be interesting. You know, something like that. I don't really know where else where I would be. Mongolia seems really interesting. I watched an Alone season there that was like super interesting. So anyway, that would definitely be another one that I want to do. Now, one thing I want to do every time we do one of these video podcasts is ask the guest, and I'm going to share as well, what was your EDC for the day that you're carrying? So what do you happen to be carrying right now?
I happen to be carrying this.
What is that?
It's a Kershaw.
Okay.
And
How do you open it? Okay.
I think I could do that.
You got that. All right.
So you always laugh at me.
Yeah, how do you, I get a new tool and then she tests it. How do you test a knife? I give it to you and I'm like, what do you do? That's the Mrs. GT tester. You just like stab, like you do like a weird stab cut. And I've never understood that. I don't know what she's testing when she does that.
I don't know what it is. But
Right.
I think.
Okay, do you know how to close that thing?
Yeah.
Okay, show me. Can you do it one-handed?
I mean,
This is awesome.
I can't ever open these one-handed, but
One-handed. You cannot touch it with the other hand. I just want to see if you can do it. Ah, okay, not bad. Okay, this Alexander GR82 or 85 asked, how far back do Mrs. GT's eyes roll when she receives when you receive another knife or gear package? And that kind of leads us into that. Okay, so have you been carrying this all day?
no.
Do you regularly carry pocket knives around?
No,
Do you have one in your purse?
I don't think so.
So yeah, I was like, hey, go out to the stuff back there, pick a knife just to have something to talk about. So she picked the Bel Air. That's what she's rocking right there, the Kershaw Bel Air, and a great little blade there. Now, how do your eyes roll? Just talk a little bit. Being married to somebody who gear is my life and it is our livelihood. That is what we do. That is my full-time career. My job is a full-time YouTuber. That's all I do currently. Picking up a couple little odd jobs here and there, helping some friends and stuff with some of their small businesses. But I mean, this is what I do for a living. So how do you feel about that? How do you feel about all the blades and gear and equipment around? And just talk a little bit about that. And then I'll share my EDC.
Okay. I think, I mean, I don't roll my eyes because I'm so used to it now. I expect it, it's just part of your business. So you have to be reviewing and getting them. And I think it's cool that you have access to all of this stuff. I'd say the biggest challenge for me is just where we're putting it in our house.
The clutter of it all.
It always ends up on our kitchen table where I'm trying to do things, or the island in our kitchen, or on a random chair somewhere.
Does it drive you nuts when I'm sitting there when I'm got a new blade and I'm watching a movie and I'm just
Yes.
over and over again, especially if I have an OTF and I'm just
Yeah, it's dangerous. And I always make sure my feet are far away from you because you've dropped them before.
Sometimes I have dropped a pocket knife before and they bit me before and many other things. Okay, so, but I mean, the concept of preparedness, this is something I really appreciate about you, but why don't you just tell those watching, your viewpoint on preparedness, survival, being ready for power outages and where things are and being able to fend for ourselves versus relying on, the guys in Washington, whatever. Where do you stand with all that stuff?
Well, I'm really glad that we have the supplies that we have. I mean, I think we can all get more. I don't think we ever have enough, but you have to balance the cost of it and all that stuff. But I mean, I think everyone needs to be, at least think through some things that, what if the power goes out for a couple days? What if there's some natural disaster, you need to leave the house and bug out?
Right.
So I think there's a level, you have to decide how much you want to, how much effort you want to put into it,
but it's important.
Yeah, it's very important.
So, and I appreciate that you're not just all right, crazy person. And I'm no, we got generators and water filters and, the things to protect our family and home and, all that stuff. It really, that's amazing. So
well, I'm usually the one who is pushing
she's on me about it. She's where are we at with the water filter situation? Which is awesome. I mean, I love that. Real quick, my EDC today, just recently got it, is a Giant Mouse Ace. Excuse me, that LaCroix. Give me the burps. Anyway, so, and I know some of you are going to be what a girl, but I mean, hey, it's sugar-free and no aspartame, and so it's better than having a Pepsi or something. Anyway, MagnaCut, and I was gonna say something. This is the Jaget, Jaget, Jagt. How would you say that?
Is it French?
No, maybe. I don't know. Denmark is where Jesper just hooked me up with that.
Jaget.
And then I'm doing the EDC what is this one? The Rovivon Aurora A3 Pro. This thing is freaking sick. Flashlight, always on my keyring, always. When I have this on, I almost don't need a tactical light unless I'm really going to kind of like a sketchy part of town. Then I'll like do a tactical light. That thing is awesome. So anyway, I've been asking you a lot of questions. Do you have a few questions for me from some of the viewers?
I do. I'll start with more of the about you personally with your vocations in life.
Okay. And we may have, I'm watching my battery over here, so we've never done one this long, so we may have a battery swap out here in a minute or two. But yes,
Okay.
ask the question.
Okay, so let me find it real quick first. Sorry.
Nice photos there.
I wrote some out, but they're not.
I know, she has all these sticky notes. I'm like, what's the deal with that?
So this is from Jeff Collego, who we know.
Oh, yeah, Jeff. What's up, buddy?
Jeff. Aaron, hey bro, what are you doing now professionally now that you're back from RVing full time? And what do you see in your future as far as ministry?
That's
God
a great
bless you.
That's a great question. So, yeah, we went, for those who don't know, we went full-time RVing. I was a pastor full-time. We felt the release to be able to walk away from that and went committed full-time YouTube and did RVing for a year, coast to coast, border to border, saw everything, amazing. That's like a whole video podcast in itself. So I don't want to go too far down. And this is my full-time gig, as I stated. And so when it comes to ministry, always open to what God has. I felt God called me into ministry and opened the door for that. Ministry is always like if you're a follower of Christ, you're always ministering to people. But like doing that as a vocation or doing that like full-time or something, that is not what I'm currently doing, but I'm always open to it. If God wants to move us back into that, we'll pray about it, and we'll say yes if that is what He wants. But for the time being, this is the freedom and the blessing that running a YouTube channel full time is offering is just such a miracle and just such a blessing in itself. So great question though, Jeff.
Yeah.
Why don't you go with one more, and I'm going to try and find one here for you.
Okay.
I love this, and every month when we do these videos, we're going to ask you guys for more questions and stuff because it's awesome to be able to see some of this.
Okay, so Joe in AZ says, what do you guys consider to be foundational in your marriage? What are some things at the core of your successful marriage?
That's really good. Well, I know two, and I'll look forward to hearing what you have to say. Well, one, I would say fundamentally is our relationship with God. That was first and foremost when we met each other. I know that was super important to you. That was super important to me, that we were both followers of Christ and that He was really going to guide and direct our lives and that we were both on the same page. And I feel like that is super important. Like you've got to have similar morals, religious beliefs, those type of things. If you're on totally different spectrums, I know people who maybe one person is a believer, one person is not. I know people who, one's following this religion, one's following that religion, or one's, an atheist and one's, a Hindu, whatever, name the thing. And it is usually a train wreck, and it is very difficult because one person has a certain set of morals and beliefs, and the other person has something completely different, and then trying to particularly, it's possible if you don't have children, but if you have children, game over. It is like, you've got to be. So like a lot of conversations with the kids, a lot of conversations with like how are we spending our money or like where are we going to spend our time, and like those type of things. They're almost self-answerable because we both have the similar morals and we both have the similar belief in Christ. So, I mean, I would say that is fundamental. And then I would say schedule and like communicating what our needs are in that schedule. So one is like, for me, having intimacy with you, our sex life, is important. And it may not sound romantic, particularly for those of you who are like early on in your marriage or things like that. I remember hearing this from older couples and they're like, literally schedule it out. Plan the days, when it's going to happen. It may not sound romantic, but then like you can build your schedules around that and not one person is feeling like they have to do something they don't want to do, and that definitely, once we had that conversation, it helped me a lot for sure, and I feel like it helped you. Do you, yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah, just like knowing and preparing. Why don't you speak to like not only that, but the scheduling part, because there was something that you told me that you needed in our relationship just recently, like in the last year, that you need this, and that has really helped our marriage in the last year.
Yeah, I think the scheduling, I mean, me personally, I like to have a schedule and kind of know, like, what are we doing this week? What are we to expect, like, in the evenings? What are we doing? So that, just knowing that, and then also I felt like I needed scheduled in, like, time to myself because, like...
What type of personality are you, for those who don't know?
Everybody knows.
They probably don't know.
Okay, I'm an introvert, and Aaron is an extreme extrovert.
And what would you say our boys are?
I would say we have one of each, I think.
Yeah.
But they're also boys.
So and our dog is a boy, Tommy the trail
Yes.
dog. So you were surrounded by boys, surrounded by testosterone. At least 2 of the 3 are in your face all the time. So, like, in the last 6 months, you came to me and was like, listen, if we're going to schedule out, like, fun in the bedroom, we also need to schedule out where you leave me alone.
Yes. On top of that, you know, we are in the house together all day, almost every day, unless you go to the mountains or somewhere to film, and then you like to talk to people or somebody. And
Anybody.
It's me. So I have to, like, it's pretty much by Thursday, sometimes Wednesday, that I have to have some time.
Well, we've scheduled out Thursdays. Thursday nights, I just
Thursday.
know you do whatever you want. You're out of the house if you need to go somewhere. You're doing, like, I don't even have to ask. Ashley is not available after dinner. Bye.
Yeah.
It's my responsibility. And that's the day that we picked, that works for us. And it's later in the week when you're, like, kind of burned out and all that. And that is you brought that up, and that is something that's hard for an extrovert. So for those who maybe are like, and I'd be curious for the comments, like, if you guys have felt like this, that the people who are extroverts, and that was my life as a pastor, was like connecting with people, like all people. So I got that, like, that feeling scratched, I got like that thing taken care of. Then I'm like here or on the mountains filming in the studio, I'm up in the office, so it's like I have no one to communicate with really about, like, wins and successes or hardships and failures, and so it's like and you're here homeschooling the children, so it's like it can be chaotic sometimes, and it is hard for me to be like, who do I talk to? Who do I tell this stuff to? And that's like one of the hardest things I didn't really realize going to start working for myself. And that kind of brings in the next question from Dan Jones 7. And he asks, how did you muster up the courage to become an entrepreneur while supporting a family and 2 kids? And that's a great question. And it actually has more to do with Ashley, Mrs. GT, than it does me. Like, I would never do it without her, like, complete backing and support. And that's really when I was working full time as a pastor. We have this YouTube channel. It's matched our income. So you're not having to work anymore. You're a full-time mom. So now it's like, cool. Like, we could just play it safe. Safe, secure pastor job, and cranking out videos on YouTube together. They are making what you and I were making together when you worked full-time and I worked full-time. Yay, this is awesome, or almost. It wasn't quite that, but almost. And then when we felt like there might be a change, and I said, like, should I step down from ministry, cut our income in half, rent out the house, go full-time RVing, and just live on YouTube and go, like, commit fully to YouTube? Like, I know this is a stereotype general, but women want security. They want, particularly once they have babies and, like, all that stuff. And so for you to be willing to do that, what made you... I would say, what was your willingness to even say yes to that concept of leaving health insurance and security and, like, extra income and, a guaranteed check every week and, like, all that stuff? Why would you be willing to do that?
I mean, I think I was a little crazy looking back at it, but I just, like, I feel like in my life and even us together that it's like God brings you to a place of, like, there's enough trust in him that the next step of faith is not, it's not a leap of faith, but it's like more like a step. And it doesn't feel like you're jumping off a cliff, but it's like you're taking, one more step down the road or something. So I feel like it wasn't like totally, I don't know. For me, like there has to be some logic to it, even though God doesn't always work that way. But like we were able to get like health insurance from a different place. We were able to rent our house, so we had that money coming in to help with that. We knew consistently, what you were bringing in monthly, so we could kind of project like, okay, this, and we could figure out like how much is it going to cost us. But I mean, there were still unknowns that like when we took off from in RVing, we didn't know. So there was a lot of faith with it, and then also some like he just like made it like, okay, this is the next step.
Well, and I feel like also the commitment, yes, absolutely God, but the commitment to each other and to the idea of we're going to make this work. Because if we were like, never mind, just kidding, kind of thing, then the game over and there's going to be, it's a wreck. So the commitment to, we both agree and feel like this is the right step, the right move together. So I didn't come to you and say, I'm quitting my ministry job, deal with it, come along with me for the ride. It was like an absolute like partnership, joint decision. And I would say, I mean, that's an extreme example, but like of like quitting your, like renting your house and RVing. I'm saying just if you're wanting to start your own business and do something like that, there has to be the willingness and commitment in the relationship to be like, I'm going to stick to this. And you personally, if you're single, you personally to be willing to go, I'm going to stick to this.
Oh wait, we have a technical difficulty.
All right, so still figuring out how all these cameras work together. First time for all of this, so thank you for bearing with us, guys, as we're figuring this all out. Each podcast will get a little bit better. So yeah, just buttoning that question up. Hopefully we caught all of that, but just be like your willingness and committed to the idea of it. You're not like, like I can't do this. Like we're gonna do this to a certain point, and then go from there. And one of the just really fast, one of the easiest steps if you want to start your own business, my recommendation, it's how I did it. It's how I saw my uncle, because it was really the only other data point I had starting his photography business. He is an extremely well-known photographer in the Bay Area now of California, but he started out I think he sold insurance or something. I don't even remember. I was a kid back then, but like he did that. He started learning photography, adding that into his wheelhouse, and like would just do it on the side and start getting gigs to the point where he almost was matching his salary, and he had to make a decision. Am I going to fully commit to photography, or am I going to keep trying to do this halfway? And so instead of, and could you get to that focus point on me? It's not focused. I don't know why it's not doing that. There we go. There we go. Fighting with the focus points on all this. Another technical difficulty. Anyway, hopefully that that might be all butchered up, but basically.
Well, and also we didn't do anything cold turkey. Like while you were a pastor, you were building Gideonstactical, and then you were into it how many years before
8
you stopped as a pastor?
Yeah, I think it was 8.
So there was overlap, many years of overlap there.
To build it up, to then commit.
Yeah. And
do that. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, definitely a risk. Definitely something that we still, to this day, walk in faith. And I mean, tomorrow, YouTube could be like, yeah, we don't like knife content anymore. Beep, deleted. And now we're figuring out how to make a living. I mean, that could definitely happen. So perfectly that does not. And perfectly we have years and years to go. But, okay, do you have any other topics, questions?
I mean, I don't know if you want to go into some more RVing, or there is one that I want to ask.
Why don't you do that one, and we'll kind of wrap up with that last one for tonight.
Okay, so this is LD Beck asks, what national park holds the fondest memories for the both of you two when you were children?
Oh, when we were children?
Yeah.
Do you have one?
So I don't think I went to any national parks as a child, But I will say we went to the beach several times over the years. We went to the Outer Banks. I remember like Cocoa Beach, Florida, and Ocean City, Maryland, I think. And then I think with my youth group, I went to Ocean City, New Jersey.
Man, you were all about the water. You are
So,
still to this day.
Yes.
And I'm like, I could care less.
I love the ocean. But we also did some camping at just some, state parks or campgrounds in western Pennsylvania.
And that's probably because there just aren't as many national parks back there. So I don't even know what the closest national park to Pennsylvania is, if there even is one in Pennsylvania.
I don't think there is one in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, and so you probably got to go quite a ways. Whereas I grew up out west, being born in California, and then moving to Colorado, we got tons of, and immediately the one that comes to my mind is Yellowstone. We went there several times as a kid. And we went there. Did we go there? We went there before the kids. So the kids actually have not been there, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. We did not make that on our RV trip. We went to Teton with them. But we went together before kids to Yellowstone. So yeah, Yellowstone is just, I just have memory. If you were to ask me like national parks, boom, immediately I just have all the pictures of like Old Faithful in my head, doing all that type of stuff, not only with you, but with growing up as a child, going a couple times, I think twice, I think we went. As a kid, even though I believe we went to Yosemite, I don't really remember it. I think I was too little. I think I was probably like 8, so I don't really have a lot of recollection of Yosemite, but as a kid, yeah.
Which one did you like the best when we were RVing?
I think probably Bryce is definitely way up on my list. Bryce, and I liked it better than Zion. I know you liked Zion more, but Bryce is just like epic, and I really liked the weather. There was some snow, and just the mountain formations, the rock formations. It's definitely like not as popular, so there weren't as many people. I loved it. Bryce was super cool. Yeah, so that'd be mine. What about you?
I'm trying to think of other than. So I really liked Arches and Zion.
Okay.
I can't think of the other ones we went to.
I went to quite a few, but yeah.
Tetons, but yeah.
Yeah. So awesome. Well, thanks for hanging with me tonight. You could be doing other things, but I appreciate you hanging out here. I'm sure the audience appreciates it as well. So guys, leave comments. Let us know things that you'd like us to discuss coming up. And I'm working on some guests real soon that we're going to have. And yeah, I look forward to doing this with you guys. And I know you'll be a repeat guest with us here. And yeah, until next time, always remember, stay equipped, stay prepared. See you out there.